Launched in 2020, Operation Vulindlela is a joint initiative by the Presidency and the National Treasury, and it aims to accelerate the implementation of structural reforms to support economic recovery. So what progress has been made over the past 4 years? We're expecting to find out in about 30 minutes' time. And this is when the Presidency gives that update at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. And business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is already there and joins us now. Ntokozo, this initiative has set some bold targets for itself, 19 areas to grow the economy and create jobs. And this morning is a very important update in that endeavour.
Good morning, Iman. Indeed, the last update that we had from the Presidency was in December. A lot of work still cut out for the 7th administration. Those 19 priority areas over the last 3.5 years or so of this initiative, the main focus areas has really been electricity, water, logistics, as well as digital migration. So some, strides have been made in meeting some of those focus areas. About a third met since that launch in 2020 with, that rollout of the e-visa system, adding about 20 countries there. So improvements seen there, and about another third of those priority areas still needing some intervention, but progress being made. And that's, of course, seeing private investments coming into industries such as electricity as well as logistics. But we have about 17% or so that was outlined in the last report that needs serious interventions, one of those being the issuance of mining rights licenses. So a mixed bag really when it comes to how much Operation Vulindlela has been able to achieve over the last few years. And last year, Iman really threw a spanner in the works for governments when it comes to reviving and changing the structure of the South African economy. We had the worst year when it comes to load shedding so far, which obviously put pressure on several industries. When we saw reports, those GDP print reports out of Statistics South Africa, quarter after quarter, at least half of the 10 economic industries on a decline on the back of load shedding. And there's no question, Iman, we've spoken about this over and over, even in the last few weeks. Households also having been under severe pressure, so that consumption expenditure has been flat for quite some time. So all of that really adding pressure in government's ability to roll out and actually implement those priority areas and those interventions that are in Operation Vulindlela. So today we'll get an update on what we have achieved since December and until now, so because it is released quarterly. And we've heard from the likes of the Electricity Minister from Transnet, just giving us some updates and improvements of, private partnership starting to trickle in. But Iman, when South Africans will actually see all of this work that is being put on, trickle into their daily lives and make a difference into their daily lives, will likely still take some time. So in about an hour or so, Iman, we are going to hear from the Presidency as well as the National Treasury on some of the strides they made over the last quarter.
Just want to pick up on that last point, because that's where the criticism of Operation Vulindlela really lies. And even though there's been a kind of celebratory air, often when you see the Vulindlela briefings, it feels like things are working. But the critics will say, objectives around creating jobs, reindustrializing the economy, accelerating economic reforms, really seeing our growth prospects increase. I don't even want to say exponentially, just say, increase. And as you say, when the average South African who is unemployed experiences change in their lived experiences, that's when the reality and the boon of Vulindlela becomes real. So they've got quite a bit of way to go in terms of showing those results, from that perspective.
No, absolutely, Iman. And we've seen the latest unemployment numbers. Unemployment has ticked up. So clearly something is not working in that system or in this initiative. And there's really a lot of moving parts, Iman. I think that's what we also need to remember. It's several industries that we are touching on. And a lot of the work really since 2020 has been around putting those structural reforms together and the mechanics of how those structural reforms would work. So very little actual work when it comes to the implementation. And I think that's where the country has really been stuck over the last 18 months is how do we then actually implement on these structural reforms that will see the economy growing again and create those jobs. We are meant to be seeing between 3 and 5% economic growth for us to, get out of this sluggish vibe that we are in right now and see companies be able to create jobs, but we are very far from reaching that target. So hence I say it's a long road ahead for the 7th administration, and I suspect, especially from the analysts that we do hear from, there might need to be some rejigging when it comes to where those priority areas really should be. Iman, when I even speak to small businesses, farmers, businesses in manufacturing and so on, they complain about it takes too long for us to get a water license, which sees then our business stagnating and not growing. We are unable to create those jobs. We still experience load shedding, and if we had to invest in alternative sources of energy, that takes a while to recover from. And consumers, struggling under the weight of inflation and high interest rates. So really a lot of factors that are affecting how quickly and how speedily Operation Vulindlela can uplift the economy and create those jobs.
Well, it's a short walk from the President's office there to the media room where these briefings typically take place. So we'll see what happens, as Ntokozo says, in the next hour or so. The update on results from Operation Vulindlela.